Welcome back to MBTV. My name is Daniel, and today we're going over INFJs and how they're like in the dating world, relationships, what their needs and desires are, in terms of someone to be with, love, how INFJs view love, and some MBTI types to reference for areas of growth. And so this is a really big topic because with MBTI, we really don't focus on the personal growth aspect with relationships. It's really hard to kind of use this indicator to do so. But in my experience, not only working with people, but, exploring this route myself, I can give a pretty good description on the INFJ personality type and the different variations of all those INFJs out there, or different areas of growth for that matter. So stay tuned. So if I were to give an INFJ dating advice for your type, or for an INFJ's type, I've known quite a bit of INFJs to be in the dating scene. It can be very frustrating because, you guys are encapsulated in, your intuition, and, you're always striving for the long-term agenda, similarly to the INTJ that I will be covering very soon. Both types, INTJs and INFJs, have a very hard time being in the moment and really experiencing the activities or wanting to explore activities with others. It's really more about the intuitive sharing and the opening up and the emotional opening up than it really is the actual experience. And so, INFJs have this natural tendency to want to pursue ideas and share their ideas and to seek out this validation. And they want people to already, INFJs want to be the standard people are looking for a relationship. They want to be someone. They want to be with someone they can always share. They can share their lives with, right, for a very long time. When INFJs get involved, they go all the way, and they don't go long short term. So I would never suggest short term like dating scenarios for INFJs. I would say INFJs hold people in high regard for who they connect with. And so what I mean by that is that anybody that an INFJ allows into their life means something. There's a significance to that person, and that they get very emotionally involved regardless. So in the dating arena, INFJs have to be extremely aware of the fact that they can get really connected to people, and that it's okay to get connected, but you have to be able to explore this part of you, right? This side of you that needs to be allowed to be expressed. And there's a lot of, I feel, INFJs out there who have a hard time expressing in dating because, they're really conflicted between wanting long term and holding back, and needing that extra push of activity, of escalation, of emotional short-term connectivity to make the long term. You can't just start with long-term results. You have to build your way up there. And for an INFJ and INTJ, the struggle is actually building up towards the relationship, building that bond. Not necessarily building the bond, but allowing oneself to kind of go throughout the short-term journey first with somebody and experience that person, and then later on, establish that connection if that's the case. I also like to see INFJs in a way as cats, in a way. INFJs are very picky when it comes to people. They can be very selective, and when they choose someone, they can still withhold a lot or be a little hesitant. And, something that I definitely want to exemplify from the INFJ type is that they're really great communicators, right? They're really great at opening up and expressing and using their emotions or their emotional insight as a tool to get really into the minds of people and to really connect with others. If you are an INFJ, this is really important to you. You need someone else who's going to be able to value, or at least know that you value, and that they'll appreciate and value as well your intuition, your intuitive insight, wanting to explore ideas, philosophy, worldly values and vision and methodologies, whatever it may be. It may have to do purely with insight, but the idea is that, INFJs are invested in their thoughts, and that you need to find someone else who also appreciates that. And I have a list today of a whole bunch of types that do value these things, and for different reasons, and we'll get into that. Another topic I wanted to say about the dating area is that INFJs can be very value-driven and and very standard-driven as well, maybe, and that they may be looking for something very specific. But you have to remember that, believe it or not, specifics comes later on in the journey. You have to remember that within anything in dating, you shouldn't have standards, but you should be aware of what you need to fulfill your needs and respect. And for an INFJ, communication is key. And, there's a whole bunch of other things that INFJs need. But the idea is that whatever your values are, make sure that they're being fulfilled and that you're not converting all of these needs and all of these wants into a standard. Because people are unique, as I'm going to repeat in the majority of these series. You'd want to make sure that you see the entirety of this person. And I believe that it's a tendency for INFJs to overlook how people are outside of one-on-one situations. So actually, believe it or not, I believe that when you start to meet somebody in the dating scene, if you're in this aspect and you're an INFJ, make sure that once you validate that this person's a cool person and that this person is, worth the long-term investment, see how they are around people and see how they treat you around other people, being out. This is really important because a lot of the time, INFJs can get to know somebody one-on-one and then they observe something differently in a group setting. And this is actually a very common scenario because INFJs have inferior SE, inferior sensing. And so they struggle with a lot of things. One thing is being in the environment. They start and end with a perceiving function, right? Introverted intuition and extroverted sensing, right, for the inferior. And so you have to remember too, with dating, right, there's this idea of untapped opportunity with an INFJ, because you have to remember the fourth function is perceiving function, sensing, being in the environment, kind of being legitimately in the environment, not feeling it, not responding to it, but being in it to participate. And then you have the next function that accompanies that, the fifth function, which is extroverted intuition. And so you have to remember that beyond the inferior function, which is the route of health, right, for an INFJ, is to explore not only the physical opportunities and to be in those opportunities. NE is the very idea of innovation and creating and idea exploring and being in the environment in a different way. Exploring maybe like physical, intellectual aspects of the environment when you tap into extroverted intuition. Everything that encompasses NE, extroverted intuition, you have to remember that the idea is that you want to tap into the route of growth, right? And so when it comes to dating, you want to make sure that you're embodying extroverted sensing and being in your environment, and not overlooking your faults of being in the environment and not putting a value on experiences rather than getting to know somebody, because there'll always be time to get to know somebody. But you have to have both. You have to have experience and you have to have insight into the other person and share and build that intimacy. INFJs in relationships are very loyal. They open up like crazy. They're very emotional, very trustworthy, very open. They crave intimacy from the other person because it's that insight. They want to paint a better picture for the future, and so they want to know as much as possible from the other person. And so INFJs are pretty much that one type that will most likely know anyone very well. And so there's going to be an extreme comfort being in a relationship with an INFJ because you can feel safe. You can feel that a part of you is being taken care of by the other person, right? INFJs have a nurturing sensibility to them. And it goes to show how powerful they can redirect their intuition and their feelings and their as that judgment function to really understand people and to supply a support for the other person. And so they have that comfort. Also as well, I have to bring up that they are very passionate people. Not to say that not every other type is passionate, but in the sense of ups and downs, whereas INFJs are introverted, they still need time to themselves in relationships, time to build back that energy. They're pretty independent, and they have spikes of intimacy physical intimacy. Extroverted sensing being an inferior function, they may really imagine and visualize experiences with their partner, but actually bring it into fruition. They really want that other person to spike that they're very susceptible to physical attraction, and that's something to think about as well. Also, what I mean by intimacy, what I was talking about before, INFJs are going to value a well-rounded level of intimacy. They're very aware of what people need, and they're very aware of how people operate. And so the idea is that they can hold a lot in, but they really need to learn how to overcome conflict, and not necessarily overcome conflict, but to bring out ideas into like reality, and to talk about things that they see that their partner may be doing, or vice versa. If you're in a relationship with an INFJ, you want to make sure that you have intimacy through thoughts, through sharing your thoughts, through sharing your secrets, through sharing parts of you that nobody else knows. This is important to an INFJ. You just don't want to share yourself physically, but you want to share yourself emotionally and mentally, especially intellectually, because INFJs crave intellectualism through their tertiary function, their TI, introverted thinking. And so they're always fixated on philosophy through insight, through building frameworks through intuition. And so sharing more and more of how you see the world will further align yourself with them, and then they'll trust you and you'll trust them, and everybody will be happy. But intimacy is very important to an INFJ. They maintain a really strong integrity when it comes to that bond that they'll have with this person, because like the INTJ, once they open up, that's what you're getting, and it can be a tidal wave of value and them and personality. And once an INFJ opens up, they're ready, and so you just want to make sure that you are as well. Something that is really important to an INFJ, whether they know it or not, is that INFJs are vision-based. And so how this kind of applies to relationships is that if you're dating, or if you are an INFJ, vision's important. INFJs have or want to accomplish a lot for others, and if they are not aware of how to do this, how to take their skills and to help others, then they should explore this, and they should be supported to do so. INFJs are very supportive, and they want to help a lot of people, and it may be physical, and maybe they want to physically help people and be a doctor. They may want to write a book, or they may want to like a book to help people, or they may want to travel and help organizations in different countries. But the idea is that they have a vision, right? They have a mission to help people, and that they should be supported to do whatever they're driven to do. And this is really important for an INFJ. This is where the other partner can help them with their inferior sensing, and really bring out the actions that they just keep locked up in their head, going round and round. Like, an INFJ may really want to do something in life, but that other partner is really going to have to push them to go, hey, you should really do this, and this is why, and you need to do this like really soon, because this is what you really want to do. This is your vision. This is your mission, right? INFJs are like people missionaries, right? They're not just social scientists. And so as a partner of an INFJ, it's really important that you bring out this kind of side, this action-oriented side to an INFJ. And you remember to do things with the INFJ. You remember to do new things, because relationships grow through doing. And for an INFJ, this is where they may lack. And unless that they're both very kind of developed in sensing, it might be hard for them to get out of the house or to do things that they would really want to do. And so the idea is to just really quickly think about all the things that your INFJ or you want to do. If you are an INFJ, write down a list of all things that you would like to do that may have to do with philosophy or insight. You may want to go to a debate. You may want to do spiritual group activities. Go to events. Get out there and meet new people and experience things that give you more intuitive insight, right? It's do experiences that give you more intuitive insight. INFJs, I follow the five love languages, by the way. I believe that INFJs are very drawn to touch, and they're very drawn to communication. And you really want to explore the different options in which your INFJ receives at any point from the dating process to relationship. You want to make sure that you know how your INFJ receives love. And from what I've known from experience from working with people, most INFJs have either a touch or communication facet to them. So I would explore that. And that pretty much means that INFJs really value communication. They also value being touched, and not necessarily in a sexual way, but in a sense that, maybe like a touch on the shoulder, and, touch can go a long way. It can be a one way of how somebody receives love. In the same way, communication, INFJ could want praise or just want to be talked to, or in the way that we've been talking about, they like intellectual conversation. They like that stimulation of philosophy, of spirituality, personal growth, right? INTJs and INFJs are very into personal growth. And so we're going to get into that actually in the sense. So let's segue to the different types of growth for an INFJ, different personality types that would go well with them. So the first topic we're going to talk about is the personality type for an INFJ is either going to be another INFJ or an ENFJ. Now this coupling has more to do with the function. They're all going to have to do with the function stacking. These both types that are just pretty much the same, just introverted and extroverted preference. They both share all functions, and they share not only that, but they share the same two functions. They share the dominant and auxiliary feeling and intuition in both directions, extroverted feeling and introverted intuition. And I call this the value coupling. And this is like every type has like a best friend, a best friend type, right? And so although this makes a great coupling for relationships, in the route of personal growth where ENFJs have extroverted sensing as their tertiary, so they're always looking to have experiences, whereas an INFJ is looking more for that intellectual insight. So they kind of grasp a little bit of both dimensions in one ways, where it's not like other types where they get the full amount of their curiosity in the dominant function of the other type. For example, an INFJ would really like a sensor to bring out, right, that action, right? And an ENFJ would really want to bring out that thought. They would really want to pursue somebody who's logical. And so the idea is that, I personally believe that, regardless of your type, you have certain, just by upbringing, you have different slants to desires that you want, right? You're particularly attracted to a certain kind of person, and so this is exploring the different. And over time, I believe that your focus changes over time. But the idea is that for the ENFJ, INFJ, or INFJ coupling, you guys value the same thing, and although it's a differently structured as far as your function stacking, so your priorities are different, and you kind of complement each other in the sense that you both like and talk about the same things, and everything flows, and you guys are kind of like a power couple, in the sense that you guys really know each other, right? It's very easy to know this combination. So this is the best friend type. So the next one we're going to talk about is INTJ. Now INTJ is a little bit different. They both share introverted intuition as the main function, the main priority, so they both like to space out a lot. But the idea is that for INTJ and INFJ, there is a spark of this. There's a spark to this type, because both types, like I said before in the dating arena, they both take a really long time really figuring out if this is the person that they want to be with, right? Especially the INTJ. The INTJ is meticulous when it comes down to wanting to know if this is the person that should be in their life or not. And when they make that decision, that's it. As well as the INFJ, INFJs are easier to come to this decision through feeling. So they have an emotional backing, which makes it quicker for them to understand, and a social understanding to whether or not somebody should be in their life long term. So for an INFJ and an INTJ, it's actually a really good coupling, because they both get to space out together, and INTJ has that logical side to them, and extroverted thinking. So although they use their intuition for different routes in the world, which is kind of cool, they go through one door, but then end up going to two sides of the different sides of the same room, in a sense, right? And so INFJs have this humanitarian side view of the world versus INTJs. And INTJs may have a more realistic, practical, or darker version of how they see the world, and that this comparing view really interests the INFJ. INFJs are really interested in how INTJs augment their intuition and utilize their own intuition for different ways. INTJs are more strategic thinkers. They're more strategists at heart, whereas INFJs are more social scientists. And so the idea is that though they don't have necessarily the same function routes, right? But they struggle in different ways. But at the end of the day, they're both packed to the brim with integrity and loyalty and trust. And like both of them, they're both complementary in this way. When they're both ready to commit and make that move to relationship, they just open right up and they become a different person. They become very vulnerable and very trusting, and they just go all the way. So I believe that this is a really good coupling. This is just the intuition dominant coupling, INTJ and INFJ. Now the next type that I want to talk about is it's a very interesting type, and it's very popular. It's ENFP and INFJ. And this is a really good option because they're duals, right? They value the same functions, perceiving and judging functions, just down the ladder, except different directions, right? INFJ has introverted intuition, ENFP has extrovert intuition, and all the way down, just opposing routes. And so the idea, similar to the INFP and ENFJ, this is a type that can just naturally kind of flow together. These are types that are very curious to how one another sees life, and because it's in all their functions are in different directions, opposing directions, they approach life differently, and they do things differently with that direction. ENFPs have introverted feeling, whereas it's more about that depth and framework to feeling, and always exploring feelings and having that. It's about being with your feelings, whereas, for an INFJ, just like that, exploring their feelings, but also it's really more about people. It's about being in the environment with the harmony and really exploring people and helping people, and there's a fixation on that. There's a fixation on helping others. ENFPs and INFJs are a good coupling for the main reason that ENFPs are really about exploring opportunities. Actually, any NP that has extroverted intuition is a very good match for an INFJ, because INFJs really need to get out there and explore, and ENFPs are all about exploring not only their ideas and wanting and desiring to talk about their ideas, their intuition, as an INFJ wants to, but they also want to explore these ideas in the real world, right? Bring it into fruition, bring these ideas and explore them for a bit, and then move on to the next thing. And so as an INFJ, will be grounded, and ENFP will kind of give the relationship a little bit more light. It'll kind of bring the relationship more fun and enjoyment and spontaneity. And this coupling will give the relationship an edge of always growing in the sense of experiencing new things together and exploring new forms of insight together. Now, this other topic, there's two more that I have to go into that I have not gone into, and these are other areas of growth for the INFJ. One is going to be the ESTP and INFJ relationship coupling, and this may be an obvious one because ESTPs have mainly dominant extroverted sensing, and although they do share a lot of the functions in the first four for stacking, ESTPs are action-based. They're just driven to do things, think about it later, then emotionally feel about it, and then figure out what it all means in the bigger picture later. And so the idea is that ESTPs are doers. They're about making decisions. They're about going off of their gut almost at times and doing. And not only that, but they actually have a logical preference as well. So it's not all about just doing things for the hell of it. They do, and they learn, and they're not afraid to just do something, right? Whereas an INFJ, it takes a long time to bring out the actions and to create the change that they want. So ESTPs bring out this side of the INFJ that's more doer based. It's more, I want to do this with my life, and you know what? This person can really help me do that and motivate me to do these things. You know, and INFJ will say, you know, I have to carefully think about this, and ESTP will just be like, screw it, let's just do it. And not in the sense of being reckless, but in the sense of really carefully and rapidly assessing the pros and cons and doing these things, right? ESTPs don't just randomly do things. They, behind all of their actions, you know, calculate, you know, that, hey, this is going to be a good experience. This is something that I think will work out. And so for an INFJ, they always have the best ideas, and they know where their growth is going to be with the certain things that they want to accomplish. The ESTP will just really tell the INFJ, just do it already. And then more or less, INFJs already know if it's something that they want to do or not. So there's going to be less negativity or less situations that are going to be bad as a result. You know, there will be less negative results because INFJs to begin with are usually very research-based when it comes to the ideas and things that they want to do in their life. So that's why an ESTP is kind of healthy for them, because they get to experience together, they always grow, they always do things together, and there's this kind of spark in a sense of physical activity, doing things in the moment and exploring different things in life and having an appreciation for experiences in general. Though the INFJ will miss a little bit more of that intuitive talk with the ESTP that they value so much, but that's what the ESTP really needs for themselves to really figure out their own direction in life. Because an ESTP's main issue is seeing the future of, or grasping the future of what they really want to do. So that's a good coupling for both. It's like the inferior desire is what I call it. This inferior desire is a very real thing, and it, you know, again, it's just another a different desire or area of growth type coupling for the INFJ ESTP. Now the last one I have to talk about is ENTP, which is similar to ENFP. They have that extroverted intuition, but not only that, but they have the same introverted logic. They have introverted thinking. So ENTP and INFJ are very good couplings because, like the ENFP, they get that adventuring into the world of opportunity through insight, through intuition. They both favor that, but you also get, alongside of that, the same kind of logical building as far as how the INFJ has their logical, except it's different when it comes to their approach to the world. The idea is that not only does the ENTP have extrovert intuition, the fifth function of INFJ, but it gets INFJs like the ENFP to explore the world around them through insight, through intuition, through all that stuff, through exploring not just ideas, but bringing it into reality. But you also have the logical side of ENTP that the INFJ will be very attracted to. And likewise to the ENTP. The ENTP is very attracted to the insight and emotional side of the INFJ, not just the logical side. But they both struggle with sensing as their inferior, but they get a taste of it in different ways. And the idea is that this is a really good coupling for, again, intuition, for that logical interest, and the exploration. And as long as this coupling really takes advantage of the INFJ's vision and ENTP and settling down and getting more grounded, really discovering what they really want to do with their approach to the world and what they think that they can offer the world, I believe that this would be a really great coupling as well. I believe that all of these types that I've been talking about have been really good types for growth, and that's how I'll always phrase it in my videos, because, people date around and they figure out what they like, and at the end of the day, if say one INFJ dated all 5 of these types, or all these types that I mentioned in this video, all these types bring out something different in the INFJ, and it's just something to think about, and you can always apply this to friendships and family. And for as long as you're an INFJ or you're one of the types that I talked about, you have something to offer an INFJ in this regard, and you can always date again outside these types. But these are the most, I would say, preferred. As far as the type community and what the type community talks about as far as compatibility, these types like the ENTP, ESTP, the INTJ, these are all really great types when it comes to compatibility for the INFJ. So I hope this was a good video for you. I hope you learned a lot about the INFJ in a different sense. This was not a video about learning about INFJ, but specifically how they are with other types and in the areas of dating and relationships. So again, I hope this was a really great video. I put a lot of work into giving as much content as I can, and I know this is probably going to be a very long video, but just bear with me. This is a video that I think every INFJ should see. And I will make a video about how to tell if an INFJ likes you. And I'll do that for every video I'll do for every type in this series, which is 16 types. But anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like if you like this series. Ask any comments down below if you can. If you want to work with me and figure out more about typing as it applies to relationships, or if you're in the dating world, shoot down. There's a link down below to schedule a consultation with me. I'd be more than happy to work with you and figure out how to make your dating and relationship life a success in the way that you want it, and whatever challenges you may be facing. Please, if you can, join our Slack chat community. It's an MBTI chat room that we have. You can just email sign up down again in the link below in the description, and you can talk to other MBTI people in real time and have a chat room for MBTI. So we'd love to see you there as well. Aside from that, I'll see you next time in the next video. Talk to you soon.